2 15-ounce cans of chickpeas. Oh, this one's super dented. 30 ounces divided by 8. It's like 3 3¾ cups of home cooked, which is like a third of that dry. So like, what is that, 1¼ cups. Welcome back to Plants Not Plastic. I'm Nikita and I bring you recipes that are delicious, inexpensive, simple, and healthy. Today I'm bringing you my yellow curry recipe. I love curry. It's something that I will always order if I go to a Thai or Indian food restaurant. And if I think of my absolute favorite curry at my favorite Thai food restaurant, I honestly think that this curry gets pretty close to competing with it. It is full of flavor, it's thick, it's creamy, super delicious, and it's also really cheap to make at home. It's also mild on its own if you're someone who doesn't like a lot of heat. I'm excited to bring you this recipe today because this is honestly a recipe that I have been making on repeat over the last couple of months. Since yellow curry isn't something that you can typically buy at the store pre-made, I am going to be comparing my recipe to another homemade option. But my recipe on a high level has 6 times more fiber, about half the fat, and is 1/5 of the cost. Like I said, I'll share some more information about the nutrition facts at the end of the video, but if you want all the details, you can go to my blog at PlantsNotPlastic.com, where I'll have a nutrition label that links out to Chronometer. To make this recipe, you will need 4 golden Yukon potatoes chopped, oh no, 2 yellow onions diced, 2 15-ounce cans of chickpeas, which is 3 3/4 cups cooked. So dry, that would be 1¼ cups of dry beans. 6 Roma tomatoes diced. You can also sub a 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes instead. 1 can of full-fat coconut milk. This one is 13½ ounces. 1 16-ounce package of extra firm tofu, drained and diced. 4 to 5 cloves of garlic minced, 4 tablespoons of fresh ginger minced. You can also sub 2 tablespoons of powdered ginger, 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds, 3 tablespoons of curry powder, 3 teaspoons of turmeric, and then 2 to 4 cups of water, depending on how thick you want the curry to be at the end. While I'm doing my food prep, I'm actually going to open my cans of chickpeas and pour them over the top of my potatoes to keep them from oxidizing and turning gray. I'm also going to add the first 2 cups of water to make sure that the potatoes are completely submerged. I'm finished with all my prep. I have mentioned before that I actually like to pre-chop everything and put it in bowls depending on how I'm going to be putting into the recipe as I'm cooking. If you're going to do it this way, what I will say is make sure that you leave your cumin seeds separate because we're going to start by toasting them. So I've started by adding my 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds to the bottom of the pot on a medium heat. And I just spread them out and then make sure that I'm moving them fairly often. And what we're looking for here is for them to turn from this like tannish green kind of light coloring that they have to a more toasted brown color. And you want to keep them moving just to make sure that they don't burn. So they're starting to get like that toasty brown and they're smoking a little bit. So next I'm going to add my onion and my garlic and ginger. I'm just gonna let the onions, garlic and ginger cook down for about 5 to 7 minutes, mostly so that the onions can caramelize and release some of their water. So I'm getting just the slightest bit of browning on the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna go ahead and add my spices, so my curry and my turmeric. And then you'll mix it all together and cook it down for 1 to 2 minutes. Cooking the onion, garlic, and ginger with the spices for a couple of minutes allows the spices to get toasted, kind of similar to the cumin seeds, and allows the onion and garlic to absorb a little bit of that flavor. The spices are going to stick to the bottom and look a little bit brown. That's fine because as soon as you add your next round of vegetables, it'll come right off. So next I'm gonna add all the rest of my vegetables, so my tomatoes, my chickpeas with their liquid, and my potatoes, and then my tofu. And then I'm gonna add 2 more cups of water since I already added 2 to the potatoes and chickpeas while I was doing my prep. You don't have to add the 2 extra cups of water. If you use just the first 2 that you put in with the garbanzo beans and the potatoes, it'll be more stewy. If you put in the additional 2 cups, it'll be more soupy. Once I've mixed everything together, I'm just going to turn it up to a high heat and wait for it to get up to a boil. Once it starts bubbling, I'm just gonna stir it, and then I'll reduce it to a simmer and let it cook for 25 minutes. So my 25-minute timer's gone off. The last thing I'll do before the curry's done is I'll open up my can of coconut milk and then I'll add it to my pot. Just mix everything together one last time. If you want your curry to be a little bit thicker, you can add cornstarch to it to thicken it up after the fact. If you want to do that, you want to put it back up to a high heat and put the lid on to get it up to a boil. And then you'll add equal parts cornstarch and water to a small cup or a measuring cup. Mix it together, and then you'll add it to the pot, stirring constantly. And after that, it's done, so I'm just gonna turn off the heat and take it off the stove. I always add salt at the table rather than to my dish. So all the fixings that I add after I've served myself is salt. I actually like to add a little bit of powdered ginger just so that there's like strong ginger flavor. I also add fresh chopped spinach. I actually sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top whenever I eat this. If you think of your favorite restaurant's curry, they are probably adding some kind of sweetener to it to make it taste as good as it does. So for me, I think adding a little bit at the table is not really a big deal, but you can definitely leave it off if you're concerned about it. Oh, it's hot. Oh, where are my pot holders? Oh my God, it's so good. Yum. So the other homemade recipe that I mentioned is about $3.25 per cup, where my recipe is just 70 cents per cup. And in terms of the nutrition facts, per 500 calories, my recipe has over 13 grams of fiber with just under 20 grams of fat and tons of vitamins and minerals, where the other homemade recipe has just over 2 grams of fiber with over 36 grams of fat and pretty minimal vitamins and minerals. The comparison yellow curry recipe that I found was through a quick Google search. I was looking for something that was just kind of a generic yellow curry recipe that you would get if you went looking. It's not vegan and it uses things like chicken, oil, and fish sauce. I mentioned in a previous video that I don't ever talk about protein when it comes to nutrition facts because the World Health Organization recommends 0.38 grams of protein per pound of body weight. This is a pretty conservative number that they're giving, so if you are eating that much, you're definitely eating as much as you need. And as long as you're eating enough food, you're getting enough protein. I wanted to use this recipe as an example of that. So for somebody my size, I should be eating about 50 grams of protein a day according to the World Health Organization. And if I were to eat this curry if I basically did a cup of the curry over 3 cups of either white or brown rice, I would be getting between 63 to 75 grams of protein for that day. When I say tons of vitamins and minerals when I'm summing up my recipes, I actually don't think that it really means a whole lot. So I think you should go look. For this recipe specifically, if you, again, were eating 2,000 calories of it, you would be getting over 200% of your fiber requirement, 130% of your iron, 260% of your calcium, 180% of your vitamin A, 200% of your vitamin C, 100% of your folate, and over 160% of your potassium, without adding anything extra to it. So that's it for today. If you like this video, please do subscribe and click the bell to get notifications when I put out new content. If you try out this recipe, please let me know by commenting below. You can also subscribe to my blog at PlantsNotPlastic.com, as well as follow me on social media. All the information is detailed below in the description. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.